So good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about data reduction. Okay. Before this, did I ask you any question about what is? I have asked you about a question. What is the question I have asked? I asked you to do an assignment on a question. At the end of the class, I'll ask that. Okay, whomever I ask, you have to tell me. So until now, we have been discussing about the data pre-processing, isn't it? Data pre-processing. What do you mean by pre-processing? Processing the data in advance before the data could be stored into the data warehouse. So as part of these pre-processing techniques, we have discussed about many concepts, isn't it? As part of this data pre-processing, we have been discussing about the data cleaning processes, how the data will be cleaned in a way so that it can be stored within the database. In this part, we have discussed what is the importance of pre-processing and why do we need pre-processing, what is it, what is pre-processing, and then what do you mean by data cleaning, okay? What do you mean by data integration? Okay. What do you mean by data transformation? Okay. So these are the concepts. Until now, we have discussed why do we need it, what is it, and what do you mean by data cleaning, what is data integration, what is data transformation, what are the methods that are involved in data transformation. All these things we have discussed until now. Okay. So today we are going to discuss the last concept called data reduction. Okay, data reduction. See, until now, cleaning, all this cleaning, integration, transformation, all these three steps involves the pre-processing techniques, right? So we may say that the data, since the data has to be stored within the data warehouse, it has to be perfect in a sense so that it can be stored in the data warehouse. But what do you mean by reduction? Why are we talking about reduction? Reduction means if there is a huge data, we are going to reduce it into smaller part. What is the benefit of this? In sometimes when we try to reduce the content, we may lose important data, isn't it? So there is a chance for us to lose the data. So why are we doing this reduction? That we are going to discuss. Why you people are keep on joining? You don't disturb my class. Okay. Then data reduction. And why the data reduction? The necessity of data reduction is that the data warehouse will be storing huge
Madam,
amount
screen
of
ఏమి
data.
రావట్లేదు madam.
Screen
Madam,
sharing.
screen is not visible, madam.
Sharing is not there. You cannot see the screen?
Yes, madam.
Okay.
No, madam.
I'm presenting it, you see. Can you see now? Let me know once it is shared.
Yes, ma'am.
I started sharing. Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So why data reduction? Why do we want the data reduction? What is the necessity of data reduction?
ఈ రోజు మాత్రం శాంతబాబు madam.
Madhav, please put off your mic. Okay. So a data warehouse is storing huge amount of data, and we call it as terabytes
Okay,
of
madam. Okay,
data.
madam. Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, the database or the data warehouse will be storing terabytes of data. So now when the complex data analysis or mining may take a very long time to run on the complete data set. So ma, if you are feeling uncomfortable with English, you can ask me, I'll explain in Telugu. If it is okay in English, I'll continue in English. Okay, so a data warehouse, since it is storing huge amount of data, so much of data, It will be difficult for the mining process. What does the mining process do? It will search for a particular data. So those searching techniques take a lot of time in order to retrieve the data and to make analysis for the data. Because when so much of data is there, it becomes complex for the techniques and or tools or algorithms to retrieve and to process the data or to analyze the data. So since it takes a lot of time, what is needed? We need a process called data reduction. So through data reduction, what are we going to do? We are going to reduce the data, but without losing the important factors. So the data that is important and that is needed, that part will be kept there. But see, data reduction, obtain a reduced representation of the data set that is much smaller in volume, but yet produce the same analytical result. So through data processing, data reduction, what are we doing? We are going to reduce the size of the data. The volume of the data is reduced, but it will give the same results, which means that the unwanted parts of the data will be eliminated, keeping the necessary information that is needed for the analysis. So, which will give the same results that are produced before this data reduction process. So, the results that are produced will be same before the reduction and after the reduction. In such a way, data will be reduced, only reducing the volume. Okay, so that reduction process, what does it contain? Let us see. These are the data reduction strategies. How do you do the data reduction? What are the concepts that are involved? The first one is data cube aggregation. Data cube aggregation. Okay, what do you mean by data cube aggregation? Means the aggregation operations, the summarization operations, aggregation operations, summarization operations are applied to the data in the construction of data cube. So what do? Uh, Data will be summarized. When a cube is constructed, what is done? The data will be summarized. So based on the rows and columns, while the cube is constructed, the some aggregation and summarization properties are applied. So compared to the values that are given here, whatever the values that we obtain here, the summarized result will be produced there, and this particular value will be taken for the analysis. Likewise, while the cube is constructed, these data aggregation tools will be applied. Whereas attribute subset selection, attribute subsection is where irrelevant and weakly relevant or redundant attributes. So the attributes subset selection means in the reduction process, we are telling we are reducing the data. The reducing of the data will be done. How that reducing will be done? The irrelevant, weakly relevant, and redundant attributes, which are duplicate attributes, redundant attributes, or the dimensions which are duplicated, or the same set of dimensions that are existing. All those things are identified first, and we will do the removal of those all irrelevant, weakly relevant, duplicate contents from the database, which leads to the attribute subset selection. Only the subset that is important, that is most relevant to the queue or to the database, that content will be kept, remaining all will be eliminated. This process is called attribute subset selection. Next one is the dimensionality reduction. Here, an encoding mechanism will be applied to reduce the data set size. So the encoding process will be applied and the dimensionality of the data will be reduced. What are the dimensions that are unnecessary, that will be removed? Whereas data compression is another technique where it is equal to the data reducing process. Okay, the data will be compressed to lower level values. Next one is numerosity reduction. So here uh, the data will be either replaced or estimated by the alternative or smaller data. Okay, so within which we are going to fit the data into the model. So whatever the model that we are selecting, based on that model, the data will be either alternated or converted into smaller data representations. So that the non-parametric methods such as clustering and sampling and the histograms, these are the methods which are non-parametric methods, can also be applied over the data reduction process. So the data numerosity reduction leads to the data into a more appropriate form of the model to which we are going to convert. Next, discretization and concept hierarchy generation. Here, raw data values for attributes are replaced by ranges. Like consider we are going to have the discretization and concept hierarchy process. Based on the concept relevant to the concept, the discretization process will be constructed. A process will be carried out. So what happens here? The data values, whatever the attributes we are considering based on the concept hierarchy, in that particular attribute, the data value, excuse me, the data values are replaced. For example, if I say, um, whenever you are not sure about a particular value, you replace the value with this particular value. So if I don't know the age of the student, more or less I have to put 24 or 25. This is what I consider. And how do you obtain the 25, 24? I'll tell you later. So those specific attribute values will be replaced by either a range of values or higher conceptual levels, higher range of values. Okay. So data discretization is nothing but it is a form of numerosity reduction. Numerosity reduction we have already seen in the above concept, where we will try to convert the data so that it can be fit into the model that we are going to use. So here it is just like the numerosity reduction, which is very useful for the automatic generation of the concept hierarchy. Whereas discretization and this concept hierarchy, both are powerful tools. For what? For data mining. What do? They will allow the data mining of data at multiple levels of abstraction. So multiple levels of abstraction, data mining can be applied with this. Okay. So in this discretization and concept hierarchy, we are going to conclude the data reduction strategies: data cube aggregation, data subset selection, dimensionality reduction, data compression, numerosity reduction, and discretization and concept hierarchy generation. So let us see what is data cube aggregation. Data cube aggregation is the lowest level of data cube, that is base cuboid. I said the base. What is the, I think do you remember how does the cuboid will be? What are its parts called? I've discussed in the first chapter. It's good if you remember. Okay, so the lowest level of data cube, that is the base of cuboid. The construction process for the data cube starts at the lowest level. Okay, the aggregated data for an individual entity of interest. So whatever the entity that you are going to construct, you are going to take into consideration. Like your example, a customer in a phone calling data warehouse. So whatever the entity you are going to choose. For that particular entity, data cube construction will be started from its lower level. And from there, multiple levels of aggregation will be constructed. Consider you have collected a data for your analysis. Okay, the data that we have chosen for the sales. Okay, we have seen in the all electronics database where the sales are selected for quarter level. There are 4 quarters: first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. Okay, so here you see sales data for a given branch of electronics for the year 2002 to 2004. Okay, so here the sales are shown per quarter in the left hand side, whereas on the right hand side the data aggregation is provided for the annual sales. So aggregation or summarization is same, right? So here in the 2002 year 2002, all 4 quarters sales information is available. So what is done here? The summarization process is applied and the total sales information for the year 2002 is given here. Whereas for the year 2003, the sales information is given here, whereas the aggregated information is provided here. Year 2004 sales information for the 4 quarters, and in the right hand side we are having the 2004 sales information, overall sales information. Okay, so here we are interested. What does it say? The lowest level of data cube, the aggregated data for an individual entity of interest. Now our interest here, our interest lies in constructing the data cube with the annual sales per year. So annual sales per year, this is our interest. Okay, so based on this annual sales, we can identify what are the total year sales that are done for the corresponding year, including all the quarters. Okay, so this data can be summarized based on the given quarter information. So that resulting data set is smaller in value. Usually there are 4 rows here 4 rows, here 4 rows, and each of them storing some values. But the conclusion in the end, what are we going to get? We are going to get a reduced data. The data is reduced in its volume. Look at this, it is not even having 4 rows. It is having just 2 columns and 3 rows, which is giving the particular year's sales, the information about the sales. So this is what we call as data reduction using the cube technology. So this resulting data set is smaller in value and there is no loss of information. So if I want to make my analysis, I can use this data for the analysis. So this is what data reduction methodology using cube. What happened? The data is reduced without losing any information. The reduction is done, but no loss of data. Everything is used. Okay. So here the data cube store. Look at this. This is the data cube that is constructed. This is the data cube for sales at all electronics. So here home entertainment, computer, phone, and security. These are the products actually, and ABCD are the branches. And here The 2002, 2003, 2004 are the yearly, annual information about each particular product and their branch details. So this is the overall information about the data cube that is constructed for the sales data. Sales data, for the sales data that is existing in the all electronics database, the data cube is constructed. Okay. So just to know how a data cube will be constructed. These are the details about the 2002 years products details. And it will give the branch details. Here 2003's product details will be items. We are calling them as item. Item details will be given here. Here that corresponding years. So here in that corresponding year branch details. Whereas this will give the 2004 information and this will give the branch details. Likewise, this dimension will give a different information. This dimension a different information. This dimension another information. Okay. Likewise, the data cube for the whole sales data in the all electronics database is constructed here. Okay. So using the data cube there, multiple levels of aggregation can be done. Okay. So to these multiple levels, you can reduce the data and at each level. Okay. And also the references to the data cube may be done. How do you do the references to the data that is existing in the data cube? The smallest representation which is enough to solve the task. Whichever the representation here in our case, so though we have constructed the huge data cube, I have discussed here about the few operations that are existing with the data cube. We have discussed in the chapter 3. What does the data cube operations do? They will retrieve the data in whichever dimension they want to. Though the retrieval can be done, and that retrieval itself leads to the data reduction process. So here the smallest representation which are most convenient for you for your analysis, that references can be made at each level, appropriate levels. Okay. So when you are constructing the data cube, whatever the processing that you want to do, or whatever the queries that you are having, those queries should be answered using the data cube. Your data cube should answer everything. Okay. And what is the last concept? Queries regarding aggregated information should be answered using data cube when possible. So the queries regarding aggregated information, because our data cube is going to whatever the information that is stored in the data cube should be able to answer the aggregated information whenever it is possible. Here, this is the aggregated information I'm calling. So this is the data cube I'm having. So if I want to know the answer for these particular details, I should get them from the data cube. That's what should be done. So your data cube must be efficient enough to answer your questions. Okay. So I just tell you, this is the lowest level of abstraction we are telling, and this is called, as we have seen here, base cuboid. Base cuboid is this. Okay. And this highest level is called, its highest level. Can anyone answer? Apex. I have discussed it already, because we have discussed first the third chapter. Now we are discussing the second chapter. We discussed all these things. Okay. So this is called the base cuboid, and this is called the apex, highest level. Lowest level is called base cuboid, and actually the cube construction will be started from the lowest level of abstraction only. Okay. So here the apex cuboid will give the total sales for all the 3 years. for all the item types and for all branches. The apex will give. Okay. Whereas uh, it depends. Whatever the data cube, whenever the data cube you want to construct, it depends based on your interest. You can select the data and correspondingly you can construct your data cube. Okay. Anyway, the data cube is created for varying levels of abstraction, and that is why we call them as data cuboids, so that the data cube may either refer to lattice of cuboids. Okay. This higher level of abstraction further reduces to the resulting data size. Whatever the data size you want, this higher level of abstraction can be reduced further. Okay. And then we will move on to the next concept, attribute subset selection. We'll also call it as feature selection. So what did we discuss about attribute subset selection? Here, usually the data sets that we are using for data analysis will contain huge amounts of data, hundreds of attributes it may contain. In these hundreds of attributes, some of the attributes will be of no use for us for our analysis. So what is our interest? Based on our interest, we are going to do the analysis. If there are few attributes which do not suit to our interest, then what do we say? These attributes are of no use for me for my analysis. So such type of attributes will be there, and some of the attributes will be more irrelevant to my model or to my task. So irrelevant, and some of the attributes may be redundant attributes. Same set of attributes will be there. So what will I do? Out of all these hundreds of attributes, I will reduce, removing the irrelevant and duplicate. This irrelevant can also be said as not useful, not useful to my particular concept. So such type of data, such type of attributes will be removed, not entirely for my particular processing. Okay, so such type of data will be removed, and only the data that I want for my processing I will take. Okay, so let us see in detail. Select a minimum set of features such that the probability distribution of different classes given the values for those features is as close as possible to the original distribution given the values of all features. So it reduces the data set size by selecting only the minimum set of features. Minimum set of features such that the probability distribution for those attributes will be done only to the attributes that are close to the original distribution. So, which are ultimately we can say that the data set that is more relevant to our particular processing or analysis, those sets will be considered. This is what we call as feature selection. That is reducing the number of patterns and making it easier to understand. Okay, so that process of selecting only the necessary details is called as the feature selection, necessary attributes. In this, the heuristic methods, nothing but what is the process that is involved with the attribute subset selection. So the first thing, stepwise forward selection and stepwise backward selection, combining forward selection and backward elimination, and decision tree induction. So simply, we can simply specify that attribute subset selection is also denoted as decision tree induction. The decision tree induction involves a set of sequence of steps, that is forward selection, stepwise forward selection, stepwise backward elimination, combining forward and backward, and finally the decision tree is constructed. Let us see what are all those things. Here we have got a decision tree. What does the decision tree contain? So here the initial attribute set is A1 to A6, totally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 attributes are there. And finally, based on the stepwise process, we have constructed a decision tree. And finally, we came to a conclusion that we are only requiring the attributes A1, A4, and A6. So, based on this decision tree, we came to a conclusion that out of all the 6 attributes, we only require 3 attributes. So 3 attributes are eliminated. What are those eliminated attributes? A2, A3, and A5. These are the 3 attributes that have been eliminated. We don't need them. So we eliminated them. We want A1, A4, A6 for our analysis. That is why we kept them. So which became the reduced attributes. So how does this decision tree conduction or decision tree induction is carried out? Let us see. So first, forward selection. What is the first method? Stepwise forward selection. In this forward selection, we can also call them as heuristic methods or greedy methods for attribute subset selection. I hope you know this already. Okay. Initially, there are 2 power D possible subfeatures of D features. So total D features are nothing but totally how many attributes that we are having? 6 features we are having there. In those 6 features, there will be a possible of 2 power 6 subfeatures can be constructed. So best single feature under the feature independence assumption, choose by significance test. So we will conduct some significant tests based on which we will construct the decision tree. Okay. What does the stepwise forward selection? What does the stepwise forward selection involves here is that this particular procedure starts with an empty set of attributes. Initially, we don't take any set of attributes. Here it is not here. So we will take an empty set first. And we call them as the reduced set. So if we take an example, it will be more relevant for you. So here, initially, the process start with an empty set of attributes, and the best of the original attributes will be determined out of all these attributes, whichever is the best, that particular attribute will be added to this particular reduced set. Okay. At each subsequent iteration, what we will do? At each subsequent step, the best of the remaining original attributes will be added to the set. So now if I take initially, since our example contains A4, initially I am taking A4. Okay, this is step 1. And at step 2, what will I do? I will take another set of attributes that are more relevant to this. So here initially the values A4 is stored here. The values less than A4 will be on the left hand side, greater than A4 will be on the right hand side. So the values equal to less than A4 will be on the left hand side. So in that second step, what will I do? I will add A1 and A6. Okay. Again, step 3. another process. In the step 3, what will be done? The values that are less than A1 will be stored as left attribute, left node to the A1, and the values greater than A1 will be stored in the right node. Okay, like A4, A6, the value less than A6 will be in the A6 left hand side, and less than greater than A6 will be to the right of the A6. So if there are no irrelevant values that are existing to the left and right parts of A1 and A6 respectively, then what we will do? We will consider and we will put a full stop for the construction of the decision tree. This is what happened here. So A4 is chosen to be the most relevant, and for this A1 as the left node, A6 as right node is selected, for which A1 is having a separate set of information. So the original values, the values for the A4, A1 is class A, class 1, for right side class 2. For A6, class 1 and class 2, which means that the construction of the decision tree is completed here. So there is no further processing is needed. So what do we do? At each subsequent iteration step, the best of the remaining original attributes, A1 and A6 are the original remaining best attributes that are taken for A4. So they have been added. Whereas stepwise backward selection, in stepwise backward elimination, what do we do in elimination? It will start with the full set of attributes, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. Okay. So what do we do? At each step, we will remove the attributes that are most irrelevant and attributes that are not needed. Okay. If I say the attribute is not at all needed, that particular attribute will be eliminated. So we start from the entire set A1 to A6. From here, in the first step, we will eliminate some of the attributes which are not needed. So I will eliminate A2 and A3. They are not needed. And I will construct a new set A1, A3, A1, A4, A5, and A6. So in the next step again, we will identify the attributes which are not needed. That is A1, A4, A6 are kept, removing the A5. Why do you choose A5 is the only most relevant attribute means? We will say, I'll explain it with an example. Okay. Next, what do? We will combine both. In the third step, we will combine the forward and backward selection, and backward elimination. So in this, what do? The stepwise forward selection and backward elimination methods can be combined such that the best attributes will be selected and the worst attributes will be removed. And finally, a final set will be constructed like A1, A4, and A6. Okay, next, last one is finally the decision tree induction. What is this decision tree induction is nothing but the algorithms that are applied for the decision tree. What does it mean by the decision tree algorithms? Are different types of decision tree algorithms are there. We call them as ID3. Okay, C4.5. And this ID3 is important for us. Next, cart. Likewise, different types of decision tree algorithms are there. They are definitely used for the data classification only. And this decision tree induction algorithms will be applied. And finally, we will construct a flow chart like structure. here A4, A1, A6. So the most relevant attribute that is needed for the uh, processing, that will be chosen as the head of the or root of the node or root of the tree. And for this most relevant attribute or most important attribute, we will start adding the leaves. And what do we say? What do we say in this tree? Each internal node is nothing but the non-leaf. A condition will be applied. Okay, we also call it as the non-leaf node. It will denote the test on the attribute. Okay, and this particular outcome of this particular node is denoted as the leaf of the node. Okay, and each external node denotes the class prediction. This is the class prediction. We can also say this is the result. So each step it will identify the best attribute that will suit the analysis. Okay, so this is what the attribute subset selection. It is just an example. Decision tree induction is an example how a specific attribute will be selected for the processing. That's all. It just involves to identify how the best attributes will be selected from the given n number of attributes. Okay, given n number of attributes, which attribute will be selected by you as best attribute, and how do you construct the tree? Okay, how do you identify the best attribute? Means it will be involving some statistical analysis, and you have to apply some evaluation process. Generally, in decision tree induction, you will identify the information gain. Based on that information gain, the value of this numerical value of this information gain, we will construct the decision tree. Okay, anyway, it involves these 4 steps. First, we will identify we will start our uh, analysis with the empty set, and then in the whatever the best attributes, whatever you consider as best attributes, those attributes will be added to the empty set. That is the step 1. In step 2, we will start with the entire set and we will start eliminating the irrelevant sets. And in the third step, we will combine both. And in the fourth step, the most important step, where whichever what do you say, decision tree induction is most important to you, that particular decision tree induction method will be applied, and you will finally identify the attributes that are mostly needed by you for your particular model. So this is the decision tree induction attribute subset selection process. Okay, next one is wavelet transformation. This wavelet transformation is nothing but here discrete wavelet transformation. Discrete wavelet transformation is a signal processing method that we will be using for the analysis of the data. Okay, so when this particular linear signal processing discrete wavelet transformation method is applied, you may ask, why do we use this wavelet transformation? Means for the dimensionality reduction. When you have to reduce the dimensions, data reduction means you have to reduce the data, and data reduction will be done in various parts of the data. In this particular dimensionality reduction, we are going to reduce the data, like we have discussed in the earlier when we discussed about the dimensionality reduction involves with the data encodings or transformation steps, where the data will be reduced to its dimensions. Okay, So through this data dimensionality, we will obtain the compressed data for the original data. So if the original data can be reconstructed from this compressed data, we will not have any loss of data. So this is what dimensionality reduction. Okay. So the lossless data will be constructed. So original data will be there. It will be compressed. It will be compressed. Okay. Again, when we try to convert the constructed data from the compressed mode to the original mode, we will not have any loss of data. Lossless data will be constructed. Okay. So in this particular dimensionality reduction, there are so many algorithms or so many methods that can be applied for the dimensionality reduction. We are mainly focusing on the two particular methods, wavelet transformation methods and PCM method, principal component analysis. These two are the important methods that we are going to focus on. So in this wavelet transformation, discrete wavelet transformation it is called. This discrete wavelet transformation, it is a linear signal processing and multi-resolutional analysis. So this particular linear signal processing technique is applied to the data vector, and consider a data vector x, and it will transforms into a numerically different vector called x dash. Nothing but it is applied to the data set, and its data set will be transformed into a new data set in a reduced form. Okay. So these two vectors x and x dash will be of the same length, but there is a reduction of the data in its dimensions. Okay. Complex approximation is nothing but only when this reduction process is applied to this particular wavelet transformation, what happens here is the data is compressed. X is compressed into x dash. This x dash will only store the small fractions of the strongest wavelet coefficients. Nothing but when this discrete wavelet linear signal processing method is applied over the particular data set, it will be in a compressed state. That compressed state will only involve or contain some of the important wavelet coefficients, and that we call it as compressed approximation. This is related to this, and this is related to this is original data, and this is the compressed data. So it will be this particular wavelet, discrete wavelet transformation is also similar to the discrete Fourier transformation. But what does the method involve here is the length of the data. It must be an integer power of 2. Definitely it should be an integer power of 2 and not other than 2 the power. And each transformation should have two functionalities, that is smoothing and difference. Two functionalities, two methods will be applied. And to each pair of the data, the length will be L minus L. So when this each transformation, when the transformation is applied, each transform into is applied to two particular functions, smoothing and difference. When the smoothing and difference is applied, the two functions are applied to one particular data point x. We have taken the data point x, that is to all pairs of the measurements. That particular the result will be obtained to be L by 2. So when to all the pairs of data set x we applied the resulting will be into two sets of data length L by 2. Okay, and then the two functions are recursively applied to the data set until it will be reached to the desired length. Okay, generally, how can this particular technique, data reduction technique, using the wavelet transformation or wavelet transforms are useful is that the usefulness of this particular data wavelet transformation will be lying based on the concept that this particular resultant data can be truncated. Yes, when we are getting two pairs of data and those two sets length is L by 2, here the truncation process can be applied here. This particular usefulness will be dependent on the concept that the transformed data can be truncated. So a compressed approximation of data, we know that it will be containing some strongest wavelength coefficients. So this compressed approximation of the data can be retained, and there will be some specific range, or we can call it as a threshold. So for example, if all wavelet coefficients we are talking about, only if x is there, it will be compressed into x dash, where if there are n number of attributes in x dash we are going to have less number of attributes, and we are going to have only the strongest attributes. We are telling yeah, only the strongest wavelet coefficients are used here, isn't it? So in the strongest wavelet coefficients, what happens here is, here all wavelet coefficients larger than this particular user specified threshold. If I assign a range, if those values beyond the range are there, all those coefficients will be set to 0, keeping only the attributes that are needed for my data prediction. Okay, so removing all the details or all the attributes that are not needed for my processing, by keeping their coefficients as 0, what happens? It will be maintaining only the data that is needed for the processing. So the resulting data will be there very, what do we say? The resulting data representation is very easy to maintain. All the operations that can be applied to that will be most advantageous. Okay, and when we are going to do the computation over the data, the computation will be resulting fast. And whenever we are going to apply the data reduction process, that particular technique will also work in removing the noise of the data, so that the smoothing and difference is nothing but whenever we apply this data reduction process, it also helps in eliminating the noise of the data. Okay, so here we are having the two
Madam,
examples
screen is
of,
not visible, madam.
one sec. Can you see now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So these two are the examples of the wavelet transformation. Hartu and Dubeshan. So Next, dimensionality reduction, that is PCA, principal component analysis. So principal component analysis is PCA. Here n data vectors. So what is done in PCA, principal component analysis, is that we will provide an introduction of data reduction methodology. Here it is completely based on the theoretical explanation. It is this particular principal component analysis. It will search for the n-dimensional orthogonal vectors. Given n data vectors from n dimensions, it will try to search for the k number of orthogonal vectors out of the n-dimensional vectors. Okay, the k should always be less than n. So out of these n dimensions, these k number of dimensions will be most suitable for your data reduction. So those reduced data contains this k amount of data. So the steps that are involved with this PCA is that first thing we will do is normalize the input data. So the normalization is another data reduction process. What do we do? If there is the data, like we have seen in the last example, last class, the data range is set between 0.1 to 1.0. What do we do? Whatever the data is given, we will reduce. If 273 is the sales data, due to the normalization process, 273, 382, 900. If the data is given like this, we will do the normalization process by dividing the data by 100. Each data value is divided by 100, so that it will be converted between 0.1 to 1.0. So that normalization process will be applied, so that all the data that we are going to select will be falling into the same range of data. And then we will compute the k orthonormal vectors. Okay, that is principal components will be identified. So these k orthonormal vectors that will be identified, and why these k orthonormal vectors are used is that they will provide uh, it will provide a basis for the normalized input data. We are doing the normalization process and reducing the data or into a particular range. So the basis for that particular data will be provided with these principal components. Okay, these principal components are nothing but they are the unit vectors. Okay, these input data, these normalized input data, they are linear in combination with the principal components with which we are identifying here. So by computing the k orthonormal unit, we are identifying the principal components. Okay, then the sorting process will be applied to the principal components. So each input data vector is linear in combination is the k principal components, and these principal components are sorted in order of decreasing significance or strength. So high to low, the components are arranged in the high to low order, decreasing order. Okay, once the components are sorted, what happens? In the decreasing significance, when the components are sorted, the size of the data can be reduced by eliminating the weak components. We will identify the relevance of the data, and we will eliminate the components that are not relevant to the process. So low variance, that is nothing but weak components are identified and eliminated. That is low variance. So the strongest principal components will be added and the low variance components will be eliminated, and that way we will construct a good approximation of the original data. Okay. But this particular is applied only for the numeric data. It cannot be applied other than numeric data. Okay, and this PCA is applied only when the dimensions are large. If the dimensions are not here, n number of dimensions, if we are saying that n should be a huge value. If it is not greater value, big value, you cannot apply this PCA. That is why usually here, what do we say? The steps that are involved here is normalization process, then the computation of the principal components, and then those principal components are arranged in a decreasing order, and in that decreasing order, whichever are occurred in the first top rows or topmost rows, they will be considered as the strongest elements, and they will be taken for consideration, and the last rows will be considered as the low weak rows, and they are not strongest. So those weak elements will be removed, and in that way we are going to construct the data. Okay. This numerosity reduction is having another three methods. So one more concept is left, that is numerosity reduction. And this numerosity reduction involves two steps: linear, non-linear. Anyway, we'll discuss them in the next class. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. So I think when we discuss about this clustering and sampling, we will finish our first unit. Sampling, clustering, histograms. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, you can leave.
వెనకాల కానీ ఎక్కడైనా తడి గోతాలు ఏమైనా ఉంటే అన్ని తెచ్చి బయట
మాధవ్, అటెండెన్స్ ఏంటమ్మా?
మేడం
ఎంతమంది ప్రెసెంట్? ఎంతమంది ప్రెసెంట్?
39 numbers మేడం.
39 మెంబర్స్ ఏనా?
41 numbers వచ్చారు. అవును మేడం, 41 numbers వచ్చారు మేడం. 2 numbers వచ్చేసరికి మీ ప్రెజెంటేషన్ ఉంటే మీ మెయిల్ ఐడి మేడం. 39 numbers ప్రెజెంటేషన్ మేడం. 39 numbers ప్రెజెంటేషన్ మేడం. 90 numbers ఆబ్సెంట్.
మరి ఇక్కడ ఏంటి 47 మెంబర్స్ చూపిస్తుంది నాకు?
లేదు మేడం,